Right, what have we got today? Well, I am back and it is another PB Swiss Tools review of some screwdrivers. Happens to be a set here. You can buy these all separately, but I do have a lot of tools to get through. Again, apologies, I've been away for a while. I'll not belabor the point because this is supposed to be a review, but just to keep people updated, work is stopping me from doing all the things that I want to do right now. Hopefully that will change very soon. So I do have multiple tools and flashlights and things that I'm reviewing, and I will get back to them as soon as possible. Right, that's out of the way. Okay, so I am looking at the PB Swiss Tools. This happens to be the PB 8641. So it's a set. So you get 4 slotted and 2 Phillips. So that's going to cover the vast majority of the sort of things that I work with. Now I realise some people need hex, some people need Torx and all of that. And for that, I mean, I use a lot of drivers and things like that where I change the bits myself. Or I have things like this where, you know, they come with all the little bits and pieces. There are other options, but this is just something that I can have on the work surface. When I'm busy with electronics, I can just reach for the one I want and use it. That's why I got this. And with it being PB Swiss Tools, you know, in the past, all the PB Swiss stuff that I've looked at has been exceptional in quality. I've been extremely happy with it, and that's why I've got these. So this isn't sponsored or anything. I actually own these. Okay. So this happens to be a 6-piece, and they are claiming that this is a precision screwdriver set. Now, it depends how you want to term precision. When people say precision, I always think of small things, but that's not really the case. And it's really in how the ends are ground. Now, I've done this in 4K. I've got this at the highest bit rate possible, and you know, I don't think I really need to zoom in on there. You can probably do that yourself. This is 4K. They are extremely well ground. I'll go over that. I'll do one of my little silly drones just so people are aware of what's going on there. But they are very well made. So what do you get here? So you get, like I say, you get your slots and you get 2 of the Phillips. They're color coded as well, just so if you have them lying around on your work surface, you can say, well, hang on, I know that I need a Phillips, so they're the yellows. Then I have different colors for the Torx and different for the hex and things like that. So moving from left to right, what you are actually getting here, now this is a strange angle here, so I'll put that there. So what you are actually getting here, you are getting a slotted, so it's a 1.2 by 40 mil. So in other words, 1.2 is the tip, and then you're getting the 40 mil reach there. And then you have a 1.5 by 40, so same length. And then obviously as these get bigger, they become longer, which is better because, you know, the smaller they are, the closer you tend to be in on things, whereas the larger they are, the further away, or you have little, you know, especially in electronics, you have things pocketed and things like that, and it becomes irritating. These are nice and long. So you got those 2 at the 40, and then you have a 1.8 by 60, and then it goes all the way up to the 2.5 on the tip to 80 mil length. So these are metric, so that's what I'm talking about, millimeters here. And then in regards to Phillips, you get a Phillips, I think it's a PH00, and then a single 0, and then obviously after the single zeros, the numbers start increasing. So you've got Phillips 1, Phillips 2, Phillips 3, and so on. So these are very small. In fact, I'll show you, there's the smallest one. So as you can see, you know, here's a fingernail, look. See, very, very small there. I'll just rotate that so you can see the quality there. Tiny little bit of wear on them, tiny bit. I've used them for a couple of, well, let's have a think now, probably 3 weeks now. You can see on those tips, a tiny little bit of a highlight there. Very, very small though. It's catching the light there, but you know, quality-wise, exceptional. I'll see if I can get it better. There, that's better. So that's the smallest on the Phillips. And then this is the larger one, so this is the PH. In fact, it tells you on the shaft here. So PH0, you see that there? So there's the quality of that one. And again, in fact, I would say there's less wear on that, although to be fair, I've probably used this one a lot less than the smaller one there. But again, beautiful. And as you can see, the tip, you know, beautiful. They are claiming this is spring steel, and then it's hardened. And now I know spring steel from lockpick type stuff, and it's nice to work with. It's a good material. But you know, they've done a decent job here, and it's marked on the side there, PH0. And if you'll notice, each one has a serial number. The point of that serial number isn't to tell you if you want to buy this separately, because if you want to buy this separately, you have to go from a different number there. You know, you've got, this is the PB 8121 there, and it's 060 there, so you can see. Totally different. The actual serial numbers here are in regards to the guarantee, because all of the PB Swiss stuff comes with a lifetime guarantee. So if you can actually go on their website and look up this serial number and see when it was made, for example. So they're pretty confident with what they've made, which you know, and I've got no problems with quality. Every single PB Swiss thing that I've had so far has been exceptional. They're nicely marked there, and as you can see, they're all Swiss made, and they have their barcode on there. Beautiful piece of kit. So, as well as the serial number and the lifetime guarantee, this is a Swiss grip. Now, Swiss grip it's not like where you get like for example, here's an Ibex. So this happens to be the component handle. Ignore the fact that it's component, but we'll concentrate on this bit. This is like a hard, sort of semi-rigid plastic, and then on here it's slightly softer. You can see my thumb going into that blue section there. See, it's not going in a massive amount, but it is going in. It's beyond this. So if you like this sort of thing on the Nipex, where you think, oh, that's lovely, I like that soft bit, bear in mind that this is even softer still, ever so slightly. So again, I'll show you the same test. So I'm going to push my thumbnail. You see how deep that goes in? Look, I'll try and show you that best I can. You see, almost leaves a little indent there, which does disappear after a while. It's extremely nice to use. You could argue that because these are precision, do you really need that sort of thing? You know, I would say yes, you do, because it still makes them a joy to use. They feel lovely. They've got a nice tactile feel to them, nice and soft, but not too soft where it's spongy and you lose all feedback. You know, like when you get a suspension in a car that's over the top and you can't feel anything. It doesn't feel like you're driving anymore. So I really like that. And in regards to design, these tips, you know, spin smoothly. Look, precision wise, that rotates beautifully. If you remember one of my older reviews, I think I might have done it on one of these stubbies. I mentioned that I got a set of precision screwdrivers by Stanley. Now, most people have heard of Stanley. They're a well-known brand name. It was horrific. Firstly, I had to pop this off, and I had to shave off pieces of plastic here because it wasn't even rotating. It was a nightmare. Whereas these, straight out the box, worked, and they still do. Look. Beautiful. And if you notice, and I'll show you, you can pop these off. See the ball there? Now that's not a free floating ball, that just happens to be part of the mold, but can you see how it is? I'll try and get a good shot there. It is actually lubricated. So they have lubricated that, and to prove that, you may or may not see that. It's very difficult. Right in the middle there, can you see there's a wet spot? So that wet spot is that lubrication. Now I've had a little smell of this. I don't think it's something like some sort of 3-in-1 or a light machine oil. I don't know what it is that they've used, but it's almost got a little colour to it. I presume it's just some really thin sort of petroleum based stuff. I don't know, but it works, and it's not too thick where it's going to get the dust in and stick, and I've had no problems. And listen, clicks back in, spins beautifully, no problems. Like I say, on the Stanley ones, it was a nightmare. I was actually furious that I had to get a Stanley knife out and fix the damn thing straight out the box, whereas with these, beautiful, look. So you can use them like that, because I know I do sometimes, especially if you're working on boards and pieces of electrical equipment, you'll do it like that and spin. So really good. So in regards to this sort of precision grind, I just want to quickly explain something, and then we'll go over the storage rack that you get here. So what am I talking about in regards to precision grind here? So if you think of, like, for example, if you think of a slotted, so the slotted would be like this. So there's a slotted head. Now you're probably thinking, well, yeah, a slotted head's a slotted head. What on earth are you waffling on about, TrailTrek? Well, first let's think about this. So let's look at the profile. This is the side profile of a screw, okay? So it'll be, I mean, this is a gross, you know, simplification here. But if you imagine, here's your screw here, okay? There's Archimedes thing there. Right, okay. So a lot of screwdriver heads, especially the cheap ones, and they still work, I'm not having to go at them, they still work, will be what's called a chisel grind. So if you imagine a chisel, it's just a very simple ground. So if you imagine the screwdriver is like this, okay, and then we'll separate the tip section. So the tip section, they will just grind like that. There. Now you're probably thinking, well, so what, who cares, that's going to work. You're completely right, and it will work, and it will rotate a slotted. However, think about this. When it goes in, it's going to actually look like that. So the points of contact are here and here. And again, I realise that's not a problem on most screws, that's fine. However, would it not be better to have a head that's the shape of the actual slot? In other words, on a PB Swiss, so again, we'll do this again. So if you know, if we were to go in, you'll notice they're actually, I would call it a hollow ground. and I like that. In fact, maybe more pronounced than that. Yeah. So what you're getting is when the screw goes on, so if you imagine the screws like that, all of this is in contact, all of here, instead of just that bit there and that bit there. And I'm not just talking about using the wrong sized head, because everyone does that. I've been guilty of doing that myself if you haven't got the right one, but it actually fits. So a chisel ground is, again, where you just shave a bit off there, shave a bit off there. This is a hollow ground, so you take material out and then you have this, the exact shape that you want. So these are precision ground. And you probably think, well, does that make a difference? I mean, I'm trying to get a close view there. Can you see? It's like it hollows in and then it goes to the shape that it needs to be right at the end there where it terminates. That does make a difference for me. I mean, you know, it's not perfectly flat there, but it's better than a chisel grind. I mean, put a comment in the section if you think he's talking rubbish here. To me, it makes a difference, and I've been using electronics and screws for many, many years, and I find it more pleasant to use. So just something to bear in mind. So another of my silly drones, I do apologise, but you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, as they say. Anyway, so moving on to the storage rack. Now they also call this a wall rack as well, or a desk rack. It's nice. I think they've actually thought about the design of this, and I'll show you why. So look, that won't come out, right, until you slightly press down. So if I want to take this out, I can do it with one finger. So if I slightly press down, see, it comes out. Because this tapers, and because that tapers, and it's on a spring mounted system, so this is moving, watch. So that's spring mounted, so it slightly depresses, and then this taper jams up against there. So when you put these in, you can just do it like that, no problem. They go in and out like that, but there's enough of a retention there. You can probably hear it, listen. Hear that? What a fantastic, simple, straightforward design that works, and they don't fall out, look. See what I mean? They've actually thought that through, and it's not rattling around. So until you slightly depress that and pull, it doesn't come out. So you could even wrap, you know, you could mount that on the ceiling. I'm not suggesting you do that, but isn't that a nice design? And it's simple, straightforward. Everything has rounded off edges. It's branded there, and at the back you have your two sections here where you can screw this to a wall. So you've got that option if you want it. Beautifully made. Everything's rounded off, feels extremely solid, no flex in this. Very impressed. What a simple, straightforward design. So when I want these, I mean, I tend not to have things lying on desks, but if I want something, I just do that. And then without even looking at them, just, I mean, that's brilliant. Well done to them. So brilliant design. Okay, so I think I've waffled quite long enough here. So we'll go over some of the pros and cons. Now, straight off, I'm going to go straight to the cons. Price. Massively expensive these are, but you could say, well, okay, well, on other things, they're chisel ground, they're cheaply made, they're not made in Switzerland. You certainly don't get a lifetime guarantee, I'll tell you that, on most things. Yes, you do on some, I understand that. You haven't got that Swiss grip, you haven't got a rack that just works. To me, and just the smooth action on here, I mean, look at that. Beautiful. And again, you can pop them off, make any adjustments you want to, but I didn't need to make any. And if you can see, there is some lubrication in there. Can you see it? I put a little bead in there, and then you've got that lovely thing there. I have played around with this just to check that that's a ball bearing. It isn't a ball bearing. They don't need that. You're not going to be putting that much torque on and that much pressure. The only pressure is the amount that you need to push down to get a screw. And at these sizes, I mean, for goodness sake, you're not going to be putting that much pressure on. And again, all the heads have held up brilliantly. I don't think I've maybe used the tiniest one there. I've used that one, I know. The second smallest. Let's have a look, see if there's any wear and tear on that. No, beautiful. Really nice. I'm really impressed with the Swiss heads. In fact, I got a set. Let's have a look here. Some of the bigger flatheads. I mean, here's one of the larger flatheads from Swiss Tools. This happens to be the 1.6 by 10 there slotted. I mean, look at the size of that. But again, there's a good example. Look, when I'm talking about the precision ground, see that? That is definitely not a chisel ground, is it? So it's a hollow ground. So they've hollowed out this section, and then from where the top of my thumbnails is to the top, that is exactly the shape of the slot. Beautiful to use, extremely nice, really, really good stuff. So I should have shown you that before there. That would have been a better sort of example there. Okay, so I've gone over the con of price. So pros, precision grind makes a big difference to me, and it makes them last longer. and that's just my personal opinion, lifetime guarantee. Every single one of these has a unique serial number on it. That Swiss grip is a pleasure to use. Excellent rack that they've actually thought about. It does work, and they just go in and out beautifully. There's no sort of issues there or irritation. Beautifully smooth action. So I'm going to have to give these, let's have a think, I'm going to give them a 9. I'll probably get, if they were £5 cheaper, I'd probably give them a 9.5, and then I'd say, yeah, it's worth it. But at the moment, they're rather expensive, especially to get here in the UK, but they're worth it. I was able to get these at a reduced price, not from the company, just because I know someone who's in the trade, but full price-wise, I think they're quite expensive. But you pay for the precision stuff like this, and it means that you've got these for a lifetime. And if there's any problems, if the workmanship isn't up to scratch, you can sort of tell them the serial number and say, look, I'm not happy with this, can I send this back? And they'll send you another one. So excellent work, well done. Anyway, so I've waffled enough. Like I say, to the regulars, apologies, I haven't been on, I've just not had time. Work has got right in the way of everything that I want to achieve in life, but hopefully that will change soon. So thank you very much for joining me. If you think these are a load of rubbish and there's a better stuff like Klein tools or Baco or something like that, stick it in the comment section and I'll go and have a look at those tools, because I don't know everything about tools. I am not an expert, and I never claim to be. I'm just a tools fanatic and a flashlight fanatic. And in that regard, I will get to I've got this to look at. I've got a Perrin 2 and a load of other stuff, and companies keep contacting me saying, have a look at this, have a look at that. I think Trustfire were after me. I'll have to have a word with them. But thank you very much for joining me. I've taken up enough of your time, so goodbye.